Society has set you up to fail, my friend. From the moment you were old enough to understand relationships, they told you to be the nice guy. They told you to bend over backward, apologize for who you are, and bury your masculinity to make her comfortable. And what did it get you? Confusion, frustration, and relationships that leave you feeling empty. Here's the hard truth. Women don't want a doormat. They want a man who knows his worth, who leads with confidence, and who makes them feel safe, respected, and undeniably attracted. This isn't about being toxic or manipulative. It's about embracing your role as a man unapologetically and stepping into your power. Today, I'm giving you the blueprint to do exactly that. You're going to learn 12 strategies that aren't just about impressing women. They're about transforming yourself. Each one builds on the last, and by the time we're done, you'll see relationships, women, and yourself in an entirely new light. So, if you're tired of settling, if you're ready to take control and be the man women can't help but respect and admire, hit that subscribe button right now. Supporting this channel helps spread the message and makes content like this accessible to men who need it most. Let's change the game together. Ready? Now let's dive right in. Number 1. Mastering the mindset of Stoicism. Without control over your emotions, everything else falls apart. Now, when I say Stoicism, I don't mean being emotionless or robotic. Stoicism is about mastering your inner world, so the chaos of the outer world doesn't shake you. Imagine this scenario. You're on a date, and it starts raining unexpectedly. Most men would panic, complain, or let it ruin their night. A Stoic man, however, would shrug it off with a smile and say, "Looks like we're getting an adventure tonight." That simple, calm response instantly makes you stand out because it signals that nothing, absolutely nothing, can rattle you. Women crave stability, and not just the financial kind. They want emotional stability. Why? Because life is unpredictable, and they're biologically wired to seek a partner who can weather any storm. Think about it. If you lose your cool over a delayed order at a restaurant, how can she trust you to stay calm in a real crisis? Stoicism shows her that you're the rock she can lean on. But here's where it gets deeper. Stoicism isn't just about staying calm in the moment. It's about anticipating challenges and preparing for them mentally. Picture this. You're meeting her friends for the first time. She's nervous about how you'll fit in. A weak man lets that anxiety infect him, overthinks every word, and ends up acting awkward. A Stoic man? He reminds himself, her friends are just people. My value doesn't depend on their approval. And guess what? That mindset makes you relaxed, confident, and magnetic. Her friends will notice, and so will she. Stoicism isn't something you turn on and off. It's a lifestyle. Start small. The next time you feel irritation creeping in, pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, will this matter a year from now? 99% of the time, the answer is no. Training yourself to master this pause will change the way you interact with the world and with women. Number 2. The power of presence. Let's talk about presence, a concept that's deceptively simple but incredibly powerful. Being present means giving someone your full attention, and in today's world, it's one of the rarest gifts you can offer. Why? Because distractions are everywhere. Most guys are halfway through scrolling Instagram while nodding absent-mindedly at their date. And women notice. Trust me, they notice. When a woman feels like you're not fully there with her, it sends a clear message. She's not your priority, but when you're fully present, when you listen intently, when you notice the small details, you're telling her, you matter. Right now, you're the only person who matters. And here's the kicker. It's not about the words you say, It's about the energy you bring. Imagine you're sitting across from her and she's telling a story about her childhood. Most guys would be waiting for their turn to talk or thinking about how to impress her next. But a man who understands presence leans in slightly, maintains eye contact, and responds with genuine curiosity. Maybe you say, "That must have been a big moment for you. How did it shape who you are now?" That kind of presence is intoxicating because it's so rare. But presence isn't just about conversations, it's about your entire demeanor. When you walk into a room, are you rushing, checking your phone, or fidgeting nervously? Or are you grounded, moving deliberately, and taking in your surroundings with calm awareness? Women pick up on these cues instinctively. Presence tells them you're comfortable in your own skin, and that's magnetic. Here's a challenge. The next time you're with someone, put your phone away, not just on the table, but completely out of sight. Practice being fully there. It's going to feel uncomfortable at first because we're so used to splitting our attention. But once you experience the depth of connection that comes from being truly present, you'll never go back to half-hearted interactions. Number 3, understanding her needs without losing your own. This is where many men stumble because they equate being a good partner with being a people pleaser. Let me be blunt. If you're always putting her needs above your own, you're not being selfless. You're being spineless. Women don't respect a man who has no backbone. They may appreciate the convenience, but deep down, they lose attraction. Why? Because self-sacrifice without boundaries screams insecurity. Let's break this down with an example. Imagine she wants to hang out on a Friday night, but you've already committed to working on your side project. A weak man cancels his plans to please her, thinking it'll score him points. But what does that signal? It tells her that your goals are negotiable, that you'll sacrifice your dreams for temporary approval. A strong man, on the other hand, says, "I'd love to see you, but I need to finish this first. Let's plan something amazing for Saturday." Do you see the difference? You've shown her that you value her, but you've also shown her that you value yourself. Balancing her needs with your own isn't about being selfish, it's about being assertive. Women are attracted to men who lead, and leadership starts with knowing what you stand for. If you're constantly bending over backward to make her happy, you're not leading, you're following. And women don't fall in love with followers. But here's the nuance. Being assertive doesn't mean being dismissive. If she's upset or stressed, don't brush her off. Listen, empathize. Say, "I can see why you feel that way. Let's figure this out together." That's leadership. You've acknowledged her feelings without compromising your principles. This balance is what creates respect, and respect is the foundation of attraction. Now let's address a common fear. What if she doesn't like my boundaries? Here's the hard truth. If she can't respect your boundaries, she's not the right woman for you. Setting boundaries isn't about pushing her away. It's about inviting her into a relationship built on mutual respect. And the right woman will not only respect your boundaries, she'll admire you for having them. Here's a practical exercise. Write down your non-negotiables. These are the values, goals, and priorities you won't compromise on, no matter what. Maybe it's your career, maybe it's your fitness routine, maybe it's your family commitments. Whatever they are, get clear on them. Then, the next time you're in a situation where you're tempted to compromise, remind yourself of that list. This isn't just about standing up to her, it's about standing up for yourself. Number 4, confidence over compliments. Confidence is a game changer, but most men misunderstand what it really means. They think confidence is about being loud, flashy, or dominant. Let me tell you something. Real confidence is quiet. It's the man who walks into a room and doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. He's comfortable in his skin, and that energy is magnetic. Women don't just notice confidence, they're drawn to it like a flame. But here's the kicker. Confidence without substance is like a house built on sand. It crumbles at the first sign of pressure. Let's break this down. Imagine you're on a date and she asks, "So, what do you do?" A man without confidence might overcompensate, listing his achievements and trying to impress her. But a confident man, he answers simply and with ease, "I'm an engineer. I love solving problems and creating solutions that make a difference." Then he shifts the focus back to her with genuine curiosity. "What about you? What drives you?" That exchange is powerful because it shows two things. He's sure of who he is, and he's genuinely interested in who she is. Confidence isn't about dominating the conversation. It's about controlling your energy. But let's talk about compliments, because this is where a lot of guys trip up. Compliments are fine if they're authentic. The problem is most men use compliments as a crutch. They think saying, "You're so beautiful," will win her over. Here's the truth. Generic compliments are meaningless because they require zero effort or insight. Women have heard it all before. If you want to stand out, your compliments need to come from a place of confidence and observation. For example, instead of saying, "You're gorgeous," say, "There's something about the way you carry yourself. It's captivating." Do you see the difference? The first compliment is superficial. The second one speaks to her essence. And here's the twist. Confidence means you don't need her to respond a certain way. If she says, "Thanks," and moves on, you're fine with that because your worth doesn't depend on her validation. The next time you're in a social setting, focus on making one meaningful observation about someone. It could be their laugh, their perspective on a topic, or their passion for something they love. Then express it confidently. You'll notice an immediate shift in how people respond to you because real confidence is rare and people are drawn to it. But what if you don't feel confident? Fake it. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. Start small. Hold eye contact a second longer than usual. Speak a little slower. Stand a little taller. Over time, these small changes will rewire your brain, and you'll start to feel the confidence you're projecting. And when that happens, everything changes. Number 5. Humor as a social weapon. Let's face it, life is serious enough. When a woman meets a man who can make her laugh, it's like a breath of fresh air. Humor isn't just about being funny, it's about creating a connection. Think about it. Laughter lowers defenses, builds trust, and makes people feel good. And here's the secret. Women don't want a comedian. They want someone who can share a moment of joy with them. But here's where most men get it wrong. They think humor means cracking jokes non-stop or trying to impress her with their wit. That's not humor, that's performing. Real humor is situational, spontaneous, and authentic. It's about finding the absurdity in everyday life and sharing it with someone in a way that makes them feel included. Let's say you're on a date and she spills her drink. Instead of panicking or ignoring it, you smile and say, "Well, that's one way to leave a lasting impression." It's light, it's playful, and it shows that you're not fazed by small mishaps. That kind of humor diffuses tension and creates a sense of ease. Humor is also a powerful way to handle teasing. Women often test men with playful jabs to see how they'll react. If you get defensive, you fail the test. But if you can roll with it and throw a playful jab back, you show her that you're confident and comfortable in your skin. For example, if she says, "You're really into yourself, aren't you?" Instead of denying it, say, "Of course, someone has to be." It's cheeky, it's unexpected, and it shifts the dynamic in your favor. But let's talk about where humor really shines: storytelling. Women love a good story, especially one that makes them laugh. The key is to keep it short, relatable, and self-deprecating. For example, share a funny moment when you embarrassed yourself in a harmless way. Maybe it's the time you accidentally waved back at someone who wasn't waving at you. These kinds of stories show that you don't take yourself too seriously, and that's incredibly attractive. Now, if you're thinking, "I'm not naturally funny," don't worry. Humor is a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned. Start by observing what makes people laugh. Watch how comedians deliver their jokes, not just the words, but the timing, the pauses, and the delivery. Then practice in low-stakes situations. Joke around with friends, colleagues, or even the barista at your local coffee shop. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel. But here's the most important thing about humor. It has to come from a genuine place. Don't force it. If a moment doesn't call for humor, don't try to manufacture it. Authenticity always trumps effort. And when you find that balance between playful and genuine, you'll notice a shift in how people respond to you. Number 6. Silence is golden. Silence. Just the word itself might make you uncomfortable. For most men, silence feels awkward, like a void that needs to be filled. But here's the truth. Silence isn't awkward. It's powerful. It's a tool that, when used correctly, can elevate your interactions, amplify your presence, and create a magnetic connection with women. Let's start with why silence is so effective. First, it conveys confidence. Think about it. Who do you think holds more power in a conversation? The person who rushes to fill every gap, or the one who sits back, unbothered by the pause? Women are incredibly perceptive. If you're comfortable with silence, it tells her you're confident, composed, and secure in yourself. That alone makes you stand out. But silence does more than just convey confidence. It creates intrigue. Imagine you're in a conversation, and instead of immediately jumping in to respond, you pause, let the moment breathe, and then speak. That pause creates tension. It makes her wonder what you're thinking. It makes her lean in, both literally and figuratively. And when you finally do speak, your words carry more weight because they're not lost in a sea of chatter. Here's another reason silence is so effective. It gives you control. In any conversation, the person who is most comfortable with silence is the one in charge. Think about negotiations, interviews, or even arguments. The person who can hold their ground without rushing to fill the void always has the upper hand. The same principle applies in dating. When you can hold a pause without flinching, it subtly communicates that you're the one leading the interaction. Let's look at an example. You're on a date, and she asks, "What's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you?" Most guys would scramble for an answer, trying to come up with something witty or impressive on the spot. But you? You smile, lean back slightly, and take a moment to think. That pause does two things. It shows that you're thoughtful and deliberate, and it builds anticipation. When you finally answer, she's not just listening, she's hanging on your every word. Silence is also an incredibly powerful way to handle conflict. Imagine she's upset about something and is venting her frustration. Most men make the mistake of interrupting, trying to defend themselves or fix the problem immediately. But sometimes, the best thing you can do is say nothing. Let her speak. Let her emotions run their course. Then, when she's done, acknowledge her feelings with something simple like, "I hear you." That moment of silence gives her space to feel heard and understood, and it diffuses tension faster than any explanation ever could. Here's a challenge for you. The next time you're in a conversation, consciously practice using silence. When someone asks you a question, pause before answering. When there's a gap in the conversation, resist the urge to fill it. It's going to feel uncomfortable at first, but over time, you'll notice something incredible. People will start leaning into you. They'll value your words more because you're not just speaking to speak, you're speaking with purpose. Number 7, pushing and pulling emotionally. Now let's talk about one of the most underrated skills in the art of attraction, the push-pull dynamic. This isn't about playing games or manipulating emotions. It's about creating a natural ebb and flow in your interactions that keeps her intrigued and engaged. Think of it like dancing. There's a rhythm, a back and forth, that makes it exciting. At its core, pushing and pulling is about balance. If you're always complimenting her, always agreeing with her, always making her feel comfortable, the interaction becomes predictable. Predictability kills attraction. On the other hand, if you're always challenging her, always teasing her, always keeping her on edge, it can come across as abrasive. The magic happens in the balance. Let me give you an example. Imagine she says, "I'm terrible at directions." Instead of reassuring her or teasing her relentlessly, you say, "That's okay, I'll navigate, but you're in charge of the music. No pressure, but if you mess it up, we're pulling over." It's playful, it's light, and it creates a dynamic where she's laughing but also feeling a little challenged. That's the push-pull in action. Another way to think about push-pull is as a mix of appreciation and playful teasing. For example, let's say she's wearing a stunning dress. Instead of just saying, "You look amazing," you could add a playful twist. "You look amazing, but are you sure you're not trying to outshine me?" It's a compliment wrapped in humor, and it creates a moment of connection. But push-pull isn't just about words, it's about actions too. For instance, let's say you're at a party. Instead of sticking by her side the entire time, spend some time mingling with others. Then, come back to her and say, "I was going to go talk to more people, but I figured you'd miss me too much." It's subtle, it's confident, and it keeps the interaction dynamic. Here's why this works. Women are naturally drawn to men who are a bit unpredictable, not in a chaotic or unreliable way, but in a way that keeps them guessing. The push-pull dynamic creates a sense of mystery. She never quite knows what you're going to say or do next, and that unpredictability is exciting. But let's address the elephant in the room. Isn't push-pull manipulative? Not at all. In fact, when done correctly, it's the opposite of manipulation. It's about being authentic and playful while maintaining balance in the interaction. If you're genuine in your compliments and your teasing, it doesn't come across as calculated, it comes across as charming. Let's take it a step further. Push-pull is also a great way to test compatibility. If she can't handle a little teasing, if she gets overly defensive or takes herself too seriously, that's a red flag. The right woman will play along. She'll tease you back. She'll enjoy the banter because she understands that it's coming from a place of confidence and fun. Here's an exercise to master push-pull. The next time you're in a conversation with a woman, make a deliberate effort to balance your compliments with playful teasing. If you say something nice, follow it up with a light-hearted challenge. If you tease her, balance it out with genuine appreciation. Over time, this will become second nature, and you'll notice how much more engaging and enjoyable your interactions become. Push-pull isn't just a strategy, it's an art, and when you master it, you'll create connections that are dynamic, exciting, and deeply fulfilling. Number 8. Maintaining standards beyond beauty. Let's address the elephant in the room. Most men are conditioned to chase beauty above all else. Society, media, and even your friends have drilled into you that the most important quality in a woman is how she looks. But here's the truth nobody tells you. Beauty is fleeting. And if that's all you value in a partner, your relationships will be just as shallow as your criteria. Imagine this scenario. You meet a stunning woman. She turns heads wherever she goes. But after a few weeks, you start to notice that she doesn't share your values, doesn't respect your goals, and has zero interest in growing as a person. What happens then? You're left with frustration, resentment, and the realization that physical attraction alone isn't enough to sustain a meaningful connection. This is where maintaining standards beyond beauty comes into play. It's about recognizing that looks are just one piece of the puzzle. A real man, the kind of man who commands respect and admiration, seeks a woman who aligns with his values, supports his ambitions, and brings substance to the relationship. And here's the kicker: when you start prioritizing these qualities, you become more attractive yourself. Why? Because it signals that you have high standards, and high standards are magnetic. The next time you meet a woman, don't just focus on how she looks. Pay attention to how she carries herself. Is she kind to strangers? Does she have a passion or purpose that excites her? How does she handle challenges? These are the qualities that reveal who she really is, and these are the qualities that create a deep, lasting connection. But let's be clear, this doesn't mean you should ignore physical attraction. It's an important part of any relationship. The key is to strike a balance. Beauty might catch your eye, but character should capture your heart. And here's the paradox: when you start valuing qualities beyond appearance, you'll find that the most beautiful women are drawn to you. Why? Because they're used to being objectified, and meeting a man who sees them as more than their looks is incredibly refreshing. Here's a challenge for you. Make a list of the non-physical qualities you value most in a partner. It could be intelligence, ambition, kindness, or a sense of humor. Then, the next time you're dating, use that list as your guide. Ask yourself, does she embody these qualities? If the answer is no, don't settle. Your standards are a reflection of your self-respect. Protect them fiercely. Number 9. Handling rejection like a pro. Now let's tackle one of the most feared yet inevitable parts of dating: rejection. Let me be blunt. Rejection is going to happen. No matter how confident, charismatic, or successful you are, there will be times when a woman isn't interested, and that's okay. What matters isn't whether you get rejected, it's how you handle it. Most men let rejection crush their confidence. They take it personally, assuming it's a reflection of their worth. But here's the truth: rejection says more about her preferences than it does about your value. Maybe she's not in the right place for a relationship. Maybe she's dealing with her own issues, or maybe she's just not into you, and that's perfectly fine. Not every woman is going to see your value, and that's her loss. Handling rejection like a pro starts with reframing it. Instead of seeing it as a failure, see it as a filter. Every no you receive brings you closer to the right yes. It weeds out the women who aren't compatible with you, leaving you free to focus on the ones who are. This mindset shift is a game changer because it takes the sting out of rejection and replaces it with a sense of purpose. Imagine you approach a woman at a party and strike up a conversation. After a few minutes, you sense that she's not interested. Most guys would either panic, overcompensate by trying harder, or retreat in embarrassment. But a man who knows how to handle rejection, he smiles, says, "It was nice chatting with you," and moves on to the next person. That confidence, knowing when to let go without losing your cool, is incredibly attractive. But let's go deeper. Handling rejection isn't just about moving on, it's about learning from the experience. After each rejection, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself, was there something I could have done differently? Was I being authentic, or was I trying too hard to impress her? Be honest with yourself, but don't be overly critical. Use each rejection as an opportunity to grow and refine your approach. Now, let's address a common fear. What if she rejects me in front of others? Here's the secret. People don't judge you for getting rejected. They judge you for how you handle it. If you laugh it off and carry yourself with confidence, they'll respect you. In fact, many women find it attractive when a man can handle rejection with grace because it shows emotional resilience. Here's a challenge. The next time you face rejection, respond with gratitude. Say something like, "Thanks for your honesty. I respect that." It's simple, it's classy, and it leaves the door open for future interactions. You'd be surprised how many women come back around later when they see how well you handled the situation. Let me leave you with this. Rejection isn't the end, it's a redirection. It's the universe's way of steering you towards someone who's a better fit. So the next time you hear no, don't let it shake your confidence. Smile, take the lesson, and keep moving forward, because every rejection is a stepping stone to something greater. Number 10. Mastering nonverbal communication. Before you say a single word, your body has already spoken volumes. Women pick up on subtle cues that most men are completely oblivious to, and if your nonverbal communication is off, no amount of charm or wit can save you. The good news? You don't need to be an expert to master this skill. It's all about awareness and intention. Let's start with posture. How you carry yourself speaks to your confidence, or lack thereof. Imagine a man walking into a room with his shoulders slouched, head down, and hands jammed into his pockets. Now picture another man with his back straight, chest slightly out, and head held high. Who commands more respect? Exactly. Women instinctively gravitate toward men who project confidence through their posture. It signals strength, security, and self-assurance. All traits that are undeniably attractive. Now, let's talk about eye contact. This is where most men either overdo it or completely fail. If you avoid eye contact, you come across as insecure or uninterested. But if you stare too intensely, you risk making her feel uncomfortable. The sweet spot is steady, relaxed eye contact. When you're speaking to her, look into her eyes long enough to connect, but don't forget to blink and break away occasionally. If you're nervous, focus on one eye at a time or the space between her eyebrows. It creates the same effect without the pressure. Your hands are another critical part of non-verbal communication. Fidgeting with your phone, touching your face too much, or crossing your arms can signal nervousness or defensiveness. Instead, keep your hands visible and relaxed. Use them to emphasize your points naturally. For example, if you're telling a story, let your gestures mirror the energy of your words. Women notice these small details, and they can make a big difference in how you're perceived. Let's not forget about tone of voice. The content of your words matters, but how you say them matters even more. A deep, calm tone conveys authority and confidence, while a rushed or high-pitched tone can signal anxiety. Practice speaking slightly slower than usual and pausing for effect. This not only gives you an air of control, but also makes your words carry more weight. Finally, remember that non-verbal communication isn't just about what you project. It's also about what you perceive. Pay attention to her body language. Is she leaning in, maintaining eye contact, smiling? These are signs of interest. Conversely, if she's crossing her arms, looking away frequently, or creating physical distance, she may not be as engaged. Being attuned to these signals allows you to adjust your approach in real time, creating a deeper connection. Number 11. The art of being unapologetically masculine. In today's world, masculinity has become a controversial topic. But let's clear something up. Being masculine isn't about being domineering, aggressive, or controlling. True masculinity is about leadership, protection, and presence. It's about embracing your natural role as a provider and protector while respecting and uplifting those around you. And when done right, it's irresistible to women. So, what does unapologetic masculinity look like? Let's start with leadership. Women are naturally drawn to men who take initiative. This doesn't mean you need to control every situation. It means you step up and take responsibility. For example, when planning a date, don't ask her, "What do you want to do?" Instead, say, "I've got a great idea for Friday. Let's start with dinner at this amazing place I know, and then we'll see where the night takes us." That level of decisiveness shows her that you're confident and capable. Protection is another cornerstone of masculinity. This doesn't mean you have to play the knight in shining armor every moment, but it does mean being aware of her comfort and well-being. For instance, if you're walking together at night, position yourself between her and the street. It's a small gesture, but it speaks volumes about your instincts to protect. Now, let's address a common misconception. Masculinity doesn't mean suppressing your emotions. In fact, being emotionally intelligent is one of the most masculine traits you can develop. It's about being in tune with your feelings, expressing them when appropriate, and staying composed under pressure. Women respect men who can balance strength with vulnerability because it shows emotional depth and self-awareness. Here's the key. Don't apologize for your masculinity. If you're kind, respectful, and genuine, there's nothing to apologize for. The right women will admire you for embracing your role as a strong, grounded man. And those who criticize or dismiss you, they're not your audience. Number 12. Creating emotional safety for women. If you take nothing else from this script, remember this. Emotional safety is the foundation of attraction. Without it, no amount of charm, confidence, or physical appeal will create a lasting connection. Emotional safety is what allows a woman to be vulnerable with you, to trust you, and to open her heart fully. So, what does emotional safety look like in practice? First and foremost, it means consistency. If you tell her you'll call at 8 p.m., call at 8 p.m. If you make a promise, keep it. These small actions build trust over time, showing her that she can rely on you, and trust is the cornerstone of emotional safety. Another crucial element is empathy. When she shares something personal or difficult, don't try to fix it immediately. Instead, listen. Validate her feelings by saying something like, "That sounds really tough. I can see why you feel that way." Women don't always need solutions. They need to feel heard and understood. Respecting boundaries is another key component. If she tells you she's not ready for something, honor that. Pushing her boundaries erodes trust and makes her feel unsafe. On the flip side, respecting her limits shows her that you prioritize her comfort and well-being over your own desires. Finally, creating emotional safety means being vulnerable yourself. Share your thoughts, feelings, and experiences with her. This doesn't mean unloading every insecurity or fear at once. It means letting her see the real you. Vulnerability isn't a weakness. It's a strength that deepens your connection and shows her that you trust her too. Here's the beauty of emotional safety. Once you create it, the walls come down. She'll open up to you in ways she hasn't with anyone else. She'll trust you with her fears, her dreams, and her heart. And that trust will be the foundation of a relationship that's not just strong, but unbreakable. If you've made it this far, you're not like most. You're ready to step into your power and transform your relationships. Comment below, "I'm ready for the truth," to claim it. And remember, these principles aren't just about women, they're about you. Hit that subscribe button and join the movement of men who refuse to settle for anything less than greatness.